Hey everyone, good evening. I hope that you're doing really well. I need everyone to hit that notification bell and subscribe. We're about to have a phenomenal conversation tonight. This is Camille Essick, your girl. I am the host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. So hit that notification bell and subscribe. And we're doing something a little different tonight. In addition to streaming live across the different platforms on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, we are also live here on TikTok. So shout out to all my TikTok followers. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. Hit a heart, like, share, subscribe. We're going to have a phenomenal conversation tonight. Tonight, I have my brother and friend. He is returning, the one and only Recondius O'Brien. Recondius, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Camille. I am excited about being here. I'm excited about this conversation.
Me too. And for those that are not familiar with who you are and what you do, let the people know what you do.
Oh, wow. All of the things I do, or just some of the things I do?
Hey, run the resume.
So I am a hairstylist, makeup artist, full time. However, I am a chef. I am a published author. I am a life coach. I am a business coach. I am a minister ordained. Um, what else? Is that right? Oh, I'm an educator. I've been educating for 31 years. It's quite a few things that I do, and I do well.
Very good. Since your last conversation, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, what's going on. Have you traveled? What's been going on in Rico's world?
Oh, you doing this? Okay. So yeah, I've traveled. I went to Dubai for my birthday this year,
Yay,
and my
Dubai.
life was changed forever. Dubai is absolutely incredible. I suggest everyone that has a passport, and even if you don't, to get one and go. Dubai was a space like I literally just I felt God everywhere I went, which was weird to me. Like even in the mall, there was a reverence. Like there was a time. There's a time to pray in Dubai, right? And so I was really kind of taken aback when I heard the sound of prayer at certain times in the city, in the mall, and I was
Yes.
just like, and I heard it, and I didn't know if anyone else heard it, like the people that were with me. I was like, wow, So I literally was cognizant every single time that they acknowledged prayer. So there's like, and even when we went to the restroom, right? You would there's a space for you to go and pray if you want to. So there's separate prayer quarters as well. So I have been traveling, teaching. I just got back from San Antonio. I was in San Antonio last week for the Premier Beauty Show. So I have definitely been on the move. I'm excited for what is to come. I don't know. It's so many things that are happening at the same time. But yeah, moving, doing what I do. I promised God when I left my corporate job that I would bet on me. And so whatever
Mm,
that means, if I got to bake cakes on Tuesday, I got to go to the funeral home and do somebody's hair on Wednesday, and then be back in the salon Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I would do that. And so I'm betting on me.
that's good. Let's unpack that a little bit more. Why do we not bet on ourselves? Is it because of a lack of confidence? Are we scared? Like what is going on? What is going on with that?
I will tell you, part of not betting on us is not that we don't have what we need, but we need to be validated in what we need.
Mm,
And so a lot of times you're waiting on someone to tell you that you did good in that area, but you should look around and see that you did good in that area, especially if, like me, every client that I do back to God, right? I say, Father, I hope you're pleased with what I did because I did my best, right? And so when you are dealing with, what betting on you, you've got to know without anyone saying, without anyone telling you that it was good. You got to know when the Father created the earth, He said, "This is good." He said, "Let there be light," and there was. It was good. He said, "Let there be this," and it was, and it was good. We have to have that same validation for ourselves, and unfortunately, it's not given to us. We got to know that without a shadow of a doubt.
That's really good. Um, you said the word validation. In the wrong hands, how dangerous can that be?
Well, that it can be very dangerous, but the thing about this is because in the climate that we're living in, right? We're
Yeah,
living in
let's
a
talk
climate
about it.
we're living in a climate where gaslighting and those things are prevalent, right? Um, in the wrong hands, validation can be dangerous. But if you are in tune, or I'm going to use the word spiritual, and I'm going to say that loosely because I'm learning that whatever your belief is, it can be spiritual for you. You have to understand that whatever that is, it affirms you. It tells you that this is right. So validation in the wrong hands can lead you down a road that is literally not where you want to go. But the thing about it is this, is that if you know what you know and you do what you do, no one can tell you they can take you up or down from that space. It literally is up to you to know. And this is what discernment kicks in. Discernment kicks in because you say, "Hey, I I know better." So so that in the wrong hands can definitely validation in the wrong hands can be bad. But
I
if you
think,
know who you
yeah.
are, no one can take that from you.
Yeah, I think also too in the wrong hands when someone sees that you desire to be seen or heard or validated.
Hmm.
Now enter stage left manipulation, deception. Um, it can be draining, almost like a vampire, until you're tapped out and you don't know why. Because the whole time your motive is, I just want to be seen, I want to be heard. But there are people in this world that can pick up on that and see, not to be derogatory, but see that you're needy. And then they can take your good intentions and now it's twisted, it's defiled, it's polluted. And I think that's something we need to explore in the conversation. Is like, how do you handle those times and situations where you're wanting to be seen or heard, and then now you're taken advantage of because it happens.
It does happen, but this is the thing, right? It's so interesting that you stated that way because what I'm finding is that we put everyone else in the space, right? In the space that you can give me this. But what if the person that you are looking to give you that needs exactly what you get, what you're expecting from them? They can't give it to you.
Or what if they don't have the capacity to give
They
it?
don't have the capacity. Let me tell you something. And I say this all the time, and most people really don't get it. We're expecting validation from invalids. You're trying to teach me how to walk, and you literally are in a wheelchair.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
We're expecting validation from an invalid, someone who is incapable of giving us that validation because they don't know their space. How can you teach me how to drive when you've never been behind the wheel of a car? How can you teach me how to walk when you literally have been sitting on a sofa waiting for someone to move you for years? How do you tell me how to do this when you've never, ever taken a leap of faith ever? How is it that we're able to monitor that? We can't.
Mm.
And so we have to. One of the best things that I ever learned was learning to manage my expectations from people. People can only give you what they have the capacity to give. That was
Yeah.
the hardest lesson in life for me. The hardest lesson in life. I expect for you to tell me the truth when you've been a liar your entire life. How? How? You can't give me the truth because it's not in your wheelhouse. You've literally been a farce for as long as can remember.
Okay. So then my next question is, when we're dealing with proximity, now let's get into the next phase of this conversation. Um, you're accepting bad behavior. So now you're growing, you're maturing, you're being enlightened, you're realizing who you are, you're gaining identity. And so now you're shifting how people treat you. You're no longer accepting bad behavior, but now you're being labeled as, oh, they're being brand new. She's acting different. Can we kind of go down that path? Because at some point, you're supposed to grow, you're supposed to mature, you're supposed to evolve. But now you're mishandling me as if I'm the same person from my previous season, and I'm no longer that person anymore.
Okay. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna go here first.
Okay, let's go.
If you're around people or there are people in your life who are in the same space as when you both started, those are not your people. Those are not your people. And I'm gonna use this correlation and see if it resonates. So many of us have gone home to visit family, whatever, right? And what we see is the same people in the same spaces doing the same things we were when we left them years ago,
Like a time capsule.
like a time capsule. And you literally are feeling like, oh, wait, hold on. Like,
I've been gone 20 years
I've been
and
gone 20 years and you still where I left you last time, right? The thing about that is this. To answer your question fully, for someone that doesn't have the ability to grow with you or see where you're growing to, those are not your people. And unfortunately, familiarity will keep us in a space for longer than we need to be there. We stay longer than we need to simply because we think that they're going to come along. No, they're not coming along.
so is it because your growth offends them or allows them to see that they
They
had the
great.
same opportunity and they did not take
No,
that chance? No, I'm asking
no,
rhetorically
no,
because
no.
these are questions like, so what is it? Because is are these people that resent your freedom but really want to know how you did it, or let's kind of go deeper into that, like the why of
So, so what I would tell you is this: most times, it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with that it doesn't offend them. They're afraid to go to that space because it's unfamiliar to them.
fear is the
Fear,
number one
fear,
killer.
fear literally is a sinking sand or quicksand or a space where we're not able. We literally don't do a lot of the things we do. Most of us will find 15 reasons why we won't work out, but we got 25 reasons from the doctor why we should, right? Fear will keep us from moving into the next level because it's foreign to us. I do you know how many people have said to me, "Oh, I wouldn't go to Dubai. I've heard they have so many things." I said, "And it's none of the things you've heard." I said when
I've
I
been,
was,
it's beautiful. It's
oh
absolutely
my God,
amazing.
it's incredible. Like
Yeah,
literally, and the thing about it is that the people are more liberal than what you believe. But if I listened to what I heard prior to me going, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go. And so fear is huge. The other part is this is that we don't move to what we need. We stay in a space that we can manage. God is not in the things that we can see. God is in the things that we can't see. The things that we can reach, that's us. We can do that. Oh, I decided I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to walk a mile. But if you decide, okay, Father, I want to walk 10 miles a day, that's out of your reach. That's out of your wheelhouse. That's where God is. God is up here.
so we have to elevate our vision, right?
We have to elevate our vision. We have to elevate our mind. We have to elevate our mindset. We have to, I've been teaching and Bible said the mindset shift. You have to shift your mind to a space that is uncomfortable for you. It is
Breaking the mold.
God doesn't deal with the comfortability of us.
Mm.
But that's what we deal with because it's familiar.
But
Same
isn't that
reason.
part of the getting out of the boat? You know, we hear the story in the Bible about getting out of the boat. And when Jesus said to come, Peter got out, but he didn't say come, Peter. He said come, meaning anybody in that boat could have gotten out on the water.
Oh,
But the
that's
only
good.
person that got out was Peter.
You- and what's crazy is Peter did get out. Peter
Yeah.
got out, and then when Peter started thinking, Then Peter realized, what am I doing out here?
Yes,
And
but
then
the
Peter,
word was for everybody
the
there.
word was for everybody in the boat, which is really good. That'll preach real good. Says that because the thing about it is this: it doesn't matter who hears.
It's the response that matters.
Watch this. Oh, thank you. That's good. That's good. Watch this. Watch this. This because this is in a building. They'll do a fire drill, and everyone will hear the drill. And there will some will say, "Well, it's not a real fire, so I'm not moving." And there are others that will get up and move quickly. They'll go because that's what they know that that's what that sound is. If we're honest, how many times has God made a sound and we didn't move because we thought it was just a drill?
This is not a drill.
It's not a drill. It's not a drill. But that when I check, that's so good to me because I'm just like, wait, hold on. Literally, we heard last week. Last week, we got an indication on our phones that there was going to be a presidential alert.
They told us like
They
72 hours before,
they told us there was going to be a presidential alert. They let us know. I heard people say, "I'm turning my phone off because I don't want to be alerted."
and some people did.
And what is God saying, or what is happening in your life, and you turn the notifications off and you don't want to be alerted?
You don't put God on D&D.
D&D, do not disturb. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
when we do that, doesn't it desensitize our discernment?
I love being here with you, but you challenge my gangster so bad,
What?
yo.
What did I
Well,
do,
listen,
Kanye? What did I
listen. Was it
do?
nothing? You having the conversation that we have offline.
We
We're having it for the world to see. So it is what it is, right? So I'm not mad. But catch this though. You said, does it desensitize? We've been desensitized, and the unfortunate part is that we've lumped God, excuse me, and all deities into that desensitization. The thing about it is that the one thing that God I've heard repeatedly is, I didn't hurt you. Why are you penalizing me for
because
the
we
hurt?
treat God like the people that traumatize us in real life.
Your question was, doesn't it desensitize us? We've been desensitized. And the problem is that we won't manage the things. We won't deal with the things that have hurt us, that have bruised us, that have calloused us. We haven't dealt with those things. So therefore, why in the world would we understand?
So I'm gonna be transparent. Lord have mercy. Um,
This not in your script, is it?
no, this is not. So those that know me know I go to Spirit and Truth, and my pastor is Pastor Mark Moore Jr. And he's very challenging, which I love. We need that. So I was listening to a prayer this morning from Pastor John Hanna, and sitting at my desk at work, and I keep like a journal notebook because when you hear things, you write it down. And so both of them were saying pretty much just in summation, um, you have more help than you realize. And that the things you've been looking for, you've been looking too low. Because he tied in the scripture, because I look into the hills. He was like, you can't see because you're looking down the valley, but you're not looking towards the hills. Look at you smiling. And so I'm sitting at work, and it was kind of convicting. And God was like, and I was kind of honest with God, like, I shut some people out of my life because of how I was dropped in the past, because of how people made promises and didn't come through. And so as a result, I learned how to figure things out on my own because I got tired of the disappointment. And God was like, yeah, but you're in a new chapter in a new season. So you cannot continue to operate the way you used to. And I needed to elevate and lift my vision because I've been looking too low, and you have more help than you realize. So in other words, be more open to opportunity, be more open to collaboration, be more receptive to what's coming, because I'm trying to give you things in this chapter But I can't give you that if your heart is still closed, because out of fear of what happened in season 2, episode 1, when we're now in season 4. It is quiet in here.
Do you want me to? You want me to? You. I guess you want me to unpack that,
We're
right?
talking, we're unpacking,
We,
and
we are. We
yeah.
are talking. One of the things, and it's loud in my ear. And I don't know why this is heavy for me, but it's heavy because I want people to get it. I want us to get it.
Mhm.
We stay wounded longer than we are healed, right? And if God is God, and we have figured out that if it's not, if God is not what you ascribe to, whatever your higher power is, there is something that desires for you to be well, right? And the thing that I find that is so difficult is that we stay in the pain longer than we stay in the promise. Both of them are necessary. In your pain, you can appreciate your promise when you get to it. The unfortunate part is that we wear our pain. We dress ourselves in our pain. We make up our pain. And so when we get to the promise, all we can remember is the pain.
It's
And
been
so
familiar, like a
it's
cloak.
familiar. It's a cloak. It's like that favorite scarf, that favorite blanket, that favorite person, that favorite fragrance.
But it's dangerous because it's constricting, and it's smothering, it's choking, it's killing us slowly.
That's the part. That's the part. That's why it's heavy, because it is killing us slowly. It is killing us slowly, and I just believe that there's a desire for us to go forward, but we can't because of we're shackled by the things that we've been through.
So how collectively people going through this, Recondius, how does the shift begin? Like, what should people do to initiate the shift coming out of this? Because you know
Uh,
we've heard.
God Almighty, this girl, her, uh, uh. Sorry, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Go ahead.
I'm
Finish.
just I'm just like because we've been we you can be lulled to sleep, and it can be almost hypnotic, and we have to snap out of this because
All
what
right.
can be it can be seductive, it can be alluring, but at the same time it's very dark, and this is not what is intended for our lives, you know. And yeah, you hear the phrase, you go through hell but just don't stop. But for some people it seems like their fire is turned up 7 times, and they're inhaling the smoke and they're suffocating. But people need to know there is life on the other side of it. Whatever your it is, there's life on the other side of it. But you have to be willing to accept the uh, the knowledge of knowing there is more, and to not be comfortable in this space, and to not just sit there and settle, because your past does not dictate your future. It's only a point of reference. You don't have to stay in it. There is more for you. There's more for us. There's more. There's more. And for me to stand here and say that, for you to sit here and say that, I think people need to hear that whatever it is, your it is job loss, someone died, someone walked out, whatever your it is, sickness, illness, there is more for you after this. But you have to get it in your mind to want it, to desire it, and not to wallow in it. We have to get up. There's a valley, but there's also a mountain. But where are you looking? Are you going to keep your eye on the valley, or are you going to look to the hills? What are you looking at? What's in your ear gate? What are you watching? What are you reading? Who are you talking to? What are we entertaining? Like, let's be honest. Are you comparing your life to what's on social media? And now you're taking on the spirit of comparison. And then you feel like, well, my life is not like theirs, when you don't know. that they're not really taking trips. They just went to an airport and did a photo shoot. Like, what are we doing? Let's have a real conversation here.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
So the first thing that you have to do in order to get to a place of wellness is acknowledge where the source of pain came from.
Unpack it.
So one of the things that the Lord gave me years ago was that when you are dealing with, I'm like, but Father, He's like, when you get hurt, what do? I said, you put a bandage on it. He said, but when does it really heal? When you take the bandage off. It has to be exposed. Most of us are not willing to expose our we're not willing to expose the things that are vulnerable to us. And if we're real honest, we have to go all the way back to our childhood.
The core, the roots.
Right. Stay in a child's place. Right. Some of us are adults and we're still in a child's place because we haven't found our voice as an adult. Right. What goes on in this house stays in this house. That's crippled us because we believe that if I share, somebody's going to be able to see that I'm not perfect. None of us are. That's the beautiful thing about grace is that none of us are perfect. We are literally living this thing day by day, grace by grace, moment by moment, right? So the first thing you have to do is acknowledge where the hurt came from. That's hard for us because
Pinpoint the source.
we got to go back to the space. I was
Mhm.
having a conversation with a young lady yesterday, and she literally was like, "Shut up," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll stop talking." Because I said to her, "Until you go deal with the little girl that's sitting by the door waiting for her father to come and validate her, you're not going to be able to move forward." I said, "You've been waiting on your father for a long time," and she said, "I don't like you." I said, "It's fine." I said, "I can stop talking." And then she began to talk. And then she said, "What do you have to say?" I said, "Oh, can I speak?" And she said, "Yes." And I began to share with her. She's like, "I don't like you." I said, "It's fine. I, I'm not here to be liked." But the thing about it is this. You've got to go back to the source of, for the first disappointment that you felt, you got to go back to that space, deal with that, acknowledge it, apologize for your part if you're still waiting for them or that person to be different. Acknowledge it. Go back to that space, acknowledge it, apologize, repent in some instances. Because some of us got mad in the space where we were hurt. Repent, ask God to forgive us. And then as we move forward, right? We move forward, we have to forget what we went through or at least release it so that we can move forward. Because one of the problems is not us moving forward because we're always moving. We're always moving. But the problem is that we're trying to carry the stuff that we're trying to be delivered from with us. When the Bible says, I cast my cares, you throw them down, but most of us go back and pick them up when we get to go because we want to make sure that don't nobody get to see our stuff. That's good. No, if we go back and pick them up, can't nobody see that there was a disparity or there was a something was wrong with me. So you take it and you hoard it and you keep it. Now you carrying that along with you trying to carry victory. Victory can't be yours because you carrying the stuff that was.
So, do we also allow, even as children, and we don't know because we're young, that we allow others to project their monster onto us, and their monster becomes our monster?
Is that a trick question? Because the question, because true story, when you talk about generational curses, that is exactly what that is. That's their monster being projected on you, and now your that is now your monster, and now you're projecting on your children, and that becomes their monster.
So it's like a Voltron in the spirit. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. We're just
It
stacking
keeps
it.
getting bigger and bigger, or it keeps growing. It keeps growing because you being the spiritual one, as opposed to seeing it for what it is, as opposed to speaking to it and say, "Hey, I don't want to carry this to my next space."
You know what? This is why it's so important to have conversations with your relatives as far as not just knowing who your grandmother was, but knowing who your grandmother was, or knowing what they did, or where they came from, or do you see where I'm going with that?
I do, but the thing about it is that that generation, those generations
Yeah.
don't know how, they don't talk,
No, but
and so
that's
so a
my
lot of
point.
times,
But having
so a lot of times
conversation,
your answers are empty,
yeah,
and you
but
don't
that's
get
my
what you
point.
need.
The lack of conversation, and then these people die, and they take the information with them to the
What
grave.
was the first thing I said? Acknowledge the place of your
Acknowledging,
pain. So if
yeah.
you go to your ancestors and you say, "Hey, grandmother, this right here didn't feel good to me. What happened?" You acknowledge that you say something happened there that was not comfortable for you, right? You acknowledge that. Now it's your job that you've acknowledged it, not to stay there.
So let me clarify a little more. There was a person that they were dealing with things, did not understand why, and someone in their family told them their grandmother practiced, but they didn't know. Like they knew their grandmother, but they didn't know who they were. And so as they got older, they were starting to deal with things and did not realize like this is my grandmother, but had no idea who their grandmother was. So now you're fighting battles that you didn't even realize you were fighting because you didn't know the identity of people in your family.
So the gifts are given with our repentance, right? It's not about that they were fighting something they didn't know, but they didn't know it because no one shared with them that it was a gift. Most of the times, you, me included, we are gifted in ways that we had no idea. We had no idea that this would be what the Lord would use for us to be able to move or even to be heard. But the problem is that there were not enough of us that are using our voices. There's no one in my family that I can tell you I've seen on the podcast. There's no one in my family that will tell you that has a college degree. Not many, right? But the thing about it is that does that make me want to shrink and not be able to use my voice? No. What it says is that it happened, it occurred. I acknowledge it. I don't want to stay there, and I desire to move forward.
And that's not your identity. We
It's
are,
not.
we allow people's past to become our identity, and we pick up things like you said before that never belonged to us.
It never belonged to us. And the thing about it, what's really interesting, Camille, and I don't even know where we are as it relates to your questioning, but I can tell you this: it is my desire every day to show up fully as I am and as authentically as I am, regardless of what I've been through. Because if I went down the litany of things that I have had to endure and overcome, there will be no way I could sit here. I will be a fragrance of what you see in front of you, not me full in my totality. I'll be a fragrance of that. But I made a decision that I would not allow what has happened to me to keep me crippled or bound into a space while I'm able to move forward. I made the decision, and some of those decisions were made yesterday.
Wow. But the key word is, or phrase I should say, is making the decision.
Yeah, it's a choice.
When you see your quality of life, not just from the exterior, but the interior. And a few years ago, back when we were doing TCMBA, Power Five,
Hmm. Hmm.
and connecting with that group at that time, one of the things I realized it wasn't so much of my quality of life on the external, but it was my thought process. Because you know how you can see things like for your future, but if your mindset is not aligned properly, they cannot sync up. Because now you're frustrated because it's like, okay, God is showing me this. Yeah, He is, but your mind, you have to align your mind to the vision.
You do.
You have to align your mind to the vision,
You
but it
do.
takes work. And if you have mental roadblocks, then you have to say, okay, I want to get here, but something's not clicking in my mind. So what do I need to? So that's when you have to start doing the internal work to figure out what thought processes, what things were said or deposited into your mind, your spirit as a child that shifted because you were headed. in the right direction, and something in our lives happens that kind of get us to veer off. And so now you're having to work against this tape recorder of crap and what I call debunking the junk. And you're having to take all that mess out, detoxify, but we also have to replenish it with good things, whether it's the word, great books, changing our circles, our people. And you have to now re-record over bad tape
Mm.
until it gets into because if you're not thinking properly and you're not in a good mental space all the time, you do have to there is accountability on your end. There's accountability you have to take into your part because maybe there's people you accepted in your life and you're going, well, why did I accept that? You know, you want your village, your tribe, but you got to kick some people off the porch first. You can't go on with the same group of people if we're not growing, if we're not changing, evolving together, if they're not encouraging your growth. There has to be some change here. It's like, okay, I'm wearing this shirt, but if I'm still trying to fit into the old shirt I had on at 14, it doesn't fit. I don't care how cute it is, how sparkly it is. I'm not 14 anymore. You got to up your size. You got to change your shirt. Because why? It doesn't fit. I'm not 14. I'm not in that season of life anymore. And we still want to wear things that I love it. It was great for that time. But now we're in 2023. I'm not in 1994 anymore. I'm in 23. So now we have to change the wardrobe.
So we're in the season of the great unlearning. We are learning we are unlearning the bad behavior, the things that we've heard, the things that we thought made sense. We are learning the things that have crippled us, the things that have made us who we are, and we're having to relearn. But the thing about unlearning is forgetting enough so that you're able to move forward. The unlearning is reprogramming your mind. You said re-recording over the tape. The thing about unlearning is that I would like to suggest that we're not re-recording over the tape, right? But we're actually discarding that tape and getting a new tape so that we're not able to go back to those things. Unlearning for me, and my unlearning started in 2018, 2019. I began to realize that all of the things that I thought I knew, I didn't know. And I had to really begin to question. I had to sit with that. Okay, what is this? Right? And I had to unlearn it. But then watch this. This is the part, because most of the people that are spiritual will say, well, is that God? What I had to understand was I had to go to God and say, Father, what was this? And this is where your relationship really is developed, because when you begin to try to reason with yourself what it is, you'll find yourself in a state of or a conundrum of minutia,
Confu-
right?
confusion,
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 right?
which is
And
what a
so,
conundrum is. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So unlearning for me was understanding that maybe that wasn't for me. Unlearning was that was their reality, not mine. Unlearning was that works. It just didn't work for me. Unlearning was, hey, I can see how that will be that for you. That's not that for me. The what, and this is probably going to be very unpopular. We put on clothes that were never made to fit us. We literally wearing stuff that wasn't yours. That wasn't your. It was never yours. But we put it on. And
why?
so then relearning is adapting a new way that literally goes against the grain of what you thought. Relearning is, wow, this is in interjecting or including something that I did not even consider that could be mine, but it's a potential that it could be mine. So now relearning is I am adapting a new way of thought. And I have to be okay with that. And as well as accept this new way of thought so that I'm able to move forward. The great unlearning is so huge, and most of us have been in it and don't we won't acknowledge it because we didn't know what it was. We have literally questioned everything that we thought we knew. They
Right.
just told us a few weeks ago that we have aliens that are literally moving among us. 5 years ago, we'd have never received that. It would have never made headline news, but it's made news.
Last segment before we because this conversation is gone everywhere. Um, worth and value. Look at your face.
I'm waiting because it's
When people self-sabotage, great things are happening, opportunity is coming, they're being shown this is coming down your way. You say you want it, but somewhere along the line, you fumbled the ball. You're at the 1 yard line, about to make a touchdown. You drop the ball. Because in our mind, I don't know, I really don't deserve that. I don't have the pedigree. I don't come from this. I don't have XYZ. And so now we're undoing all the work that we put into whatever it is to get to that point. Let's unpack that mindset of worth and value.
so. When I say the great unlearning, right? The relearning is relearning your value, relearning your importance, relearning your place, right? And you know this because I've talked about this before. For years, I literally would reduce myself and I would give the people what they needed. So if you like me for my hair, I came and gave you great hair. If you like me because you thought I did a great face, I came in and gave you a great face. I never brought all of my talents into the room or the full personality of who I was into the room because I was under the impression that they could not manage it. Right? Now I bring all of me into the room and you either adjust or you choke. Because one thing I will not do is stand outside any longer. And what I titled this chapter in my book, it was stained glass windows. You want my gifts, but you don't want me. No, I am a part of. I am the gift. It is me. God gave the gift to me to give to you, and if you can't accept me, then you don't want the gift.
Mm.
And one of the things that it has been a very, very, very hard space to move into, especially because I've been waiting for someone to invite me in. Right? Been waiting for someone to invite me in. They wanted, they wanted, they wanted to give, but they didn't want the totality of me.
Mm.
I can't give you parts of me because that's going to mean I'm fragmented. I am one person with many gifts. All of us come at the same time. Just so happens, if you tap in the right way, you may get all what you need in one room.
One stop shop.
A one-stop shop. One-stop shop. And I make no apologies for it anymore. I won't do it. I will no longer allow you to make me uncomfortable for your inability to manage me. I've spent my entire life getting good with me. You've spent your entire life getting good with you. Why in the world do I have to make you comfortable with me? As opposed to you just understanding that this is me and I am a whole person with many. The Bible says there are many members. There are many members. I can't operate without you. You can't operate without me. Why would you discount me because you don't recognize my member? So, to answer your question, my worth is my worth. And when I learn to show up fully as I am, my worth is not to be questioned. It is what it is. Baby, the one thing I love about Gucci and Louis Vuitton and Chanel and Louboutin, they don't have sales but once a year. Their value is their value. It's not to be refuted. You can't in New York City. When I lived in New York City, you could Jew you on Canal Street. You could Jew them down. You can't Jew them down. You can't Jew Gucci down. You can't Jew Chanel down. You can't Jew my gifts and talents down because I am who I am. The fact is that we have not leaned into that long enough to understand it and use it and live it and be it. I wake up every day in the attempt to show up fully as I am every day. The work continues every day. It doesn't just, oh, one day I decide. It continues because you got to remind yourself, hey, you are the gift. People say, I don't like affirmations. You don't like affirmations? Affirmations reaffirm you and make you understand that I am validating me before I go out into the world. In case no one ever tells me I smell good, I put on some expensive cologne so I know I do. I put on my good things every day. I show up. I showed up for your podcast tonight in my good things because you don't have to tell me I look good. That camera right there tells me I do. When you understand who you are, no one can take that from you and no one has to give it to you because you know who you are. I know my worth. I've had to learn it and it was a hard lesson to learn. But in the unlearning and the relearning, what I grabbed, you see all these books behind me? These books can give you tools to be great, but they only work if you apply them. If you apply them, they will make your life better. But otherwise, they're just books.
Whew, what an episode. People cannot take all of this at one time, and that's fine. If you need to hit pause and take this episode 10 minutes at a time, do what you gotta do.
Listen, I feel guilty sometimes
Why? This
because
is good.
we talk honestly, right? And these are the conversations we have offline. So when you ask me a question, I'm like, do you want me to really answer that the way you know? But I'm just so grateful for the work that I'm doing with me to be able to answer you honestly because you ask questions that I am literally in the process of.
We're both in a process. It may be in different areas of our lives, but we're both going through a process, you know. And I know this may be a little heavy, but I just feel like there's so much junk out here on social media. And sometimes I feel like we need to have this is what I call the hot tea conversation, where with your friend on the couch, curled up with a blanket in a throw, and we're just having these deep conversations with a cup of tea, and just saying, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Or I had this moment today, and I feel like until we can be honest and kind of pull that mask off in a space that's safe, because here at the Speaker Podcast, this is a safe space, but we need to have these conversations to kind of challenge our thought, make us rethink some things, do some internal work, you know? And that's why I brought you here so we can have those moments in these conversations. And um, it's very layered, and that's fine. I don't want to be just surface. I do want to have layered conversations. So that's why I asked you to come back because I wanted us to have a multifaceted conversation. So thank you for
I
taking time out of your busy schedule to
absolutely.
sit down with me. And I know it was probably a lot for some people, but there's like I said, there's a lot of fluff out here, and we do talk about relationships and money or whatever. But sometimes we need to kind of dig a little deeper. And so tonight we get out our shovels and we put the boots on, and
Listen,
that's what we did.
so
So,
most people some people don't know, but I am a life coach, and my field of coaching is excavation. Let's dig up the stuff. Let's get to the root of why we are the way that we are. And one of the things that I love is when someone comes back and say, I finally had the courage to go to and dig up the stuff, and I'm better as a result of it. One of the, even myself, um, and one of the things that God is dealing with me about my new book is, until you deal with the source of your pain, you're never going to get to your healing.
Hmm.
And there are so many of us that are sitting by the door, or sitting traumatized, or upset, or broken because of a parent or an uncle or an aunt or a brother or sister who were not able to show up fully as we needed them. And here we are, still as an adult, waiting for them to come back and rescue us. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I had to tell that little boy, hey, ain't nobody coming to save you. Get yourself together. You're all I got, and I'm all you got, and we're going to figure this out. That was hard.
Yeah.
That was hard. That was hard because we are literally looking for people who are incapable of giving us what we need. And that's where your healing begins, is there.
I love it. So, with that being said, where can people contact you on social media?
My personal page is at Recondius O'Brien. My business page is the Recondius O'Brien Experience. It's my name, XPERIENCE. And I will list them in the comments on your replay. And just, DM me if you want to talk. I can type them in here. I just realized that I have a whole chat box here. Um, but yeah, so I'm available. Like I love to talk, especially with people that are really interested in healing and going forward, because I don't want to stay in the same space. I don't want to stay in the same space. It is my desire for, I want it, like, it's so crazy. I've said this, and I'm saying this loosely. I am the Harriet Tubman of our time. I'm going to bring all of the people that I can along to be healed.
I love it. Well, thank you again for taking the time to sit down and share your nuggets and wisdom with us. I definitely would like to bring you back again in the future. You've been on Heart and Soul with me. We've done the Black Fatherhood panel, which was amazing. So
Yep.
you have some history with this show. Those that have been following, they are aware. So you're not a first timer, and you won't be a last timer either.
Oh, I ain't
So
going nowhere. You can listen. You can't get rid of me if you want to. I will find new content for us to talk about.
yes, that's great. Well, everybody, this is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. Be sure to follow me. Thank you to the people on TikTok rocking with me. I really appreciate you all. This is my first time doing a live on TikTok, so the back and forth is interesting, it's different. But be sure to follow me on Instagram at Camille.Essick. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at Camille Essick Official. We've done some new things. So now the Speaker Podcast TSP Premium is available. So exclusive episodes and interviews are available starting at just $3 a month, in addition to the other free streaming episodes on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, all the places. And you can catch all the replays, as I stated before, on my YouTube channel. We are working to kick out some more streaming episodes. But in the meantime, get on YouTube, subscribe, hit those replays, catch up. We have more guests coming later on this month in October. October is packed, booked, and busy, so you don't want to miss it. Hang on, Recondius. And yeah, I hope this blessed someone. I hope someone took notes. And more importantly, I hope this inspires you to keep going and to go forward. We are rooting for you. We are rocking with you. And we want to see you on the other side. So hang in there. Y'all be blessed. See ya. Good night.